So our next speaker is yet another, but one of the most inspirational people that I know. Dan Brusilovsky had a passion for technology and startups that bit him at a very, very early age. And by the time he was in his mid-teens, he'd started a giant global organization, was a writer talking about technology, had become a passionate advocate for entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship among the young, and today is very much a thought leader about how the next generation, today's teens and younger, will affect the world around us, particularly around startups, technology, ideation, and innovation. And so for all of us in this room who need to design experiences that consider the next generation, which I think is all of us, I think we have a lot to learn from what Dan has to share with us today. So it's my pleasure to bring up to the stage Dan Brusilovsky.
That was a very nice intro. I don't deserve it. How's it going, everyone? Together. How's it going, everyone? There we go. All right, so Angry Birds is my favorite game ever, so we're going to do a little game here. In one of my slides, the red bird from Angry Birds is hidden. Whoever yells out, "Red Bird," gets a $25 Amazon gift card from me. Red bird. Not in this slide, it's in a different slide. That was good, I like that. All right, so if I hit the magic button. There we go. All right, so who am I? My name is Daniel Brusilovsky. I am 19. I started Teens in Tech when I was 15. And I started Teens in Tech because I literally thought I was the only young person in Silicon Valley going to industry events and talking to entrepreneurs. And I thought to myself, I cannot be the only person. So I started Teens in Tech to essentially just meet other young entrepreneurs who are interested in tech, interested in entrepreneurship, interested in startups and venture capital and things like that. I was on the founding team of a company called Quick. Any of you guys have heard of Quick? A few hands, awesome. So I joined Quick in late 2007, was there for 3 years up until they got bought by Skype, and I left soon thereafter. Like Gabe said, I worked at TechCrunch for a while, writing about startups and young entrepreneurs, and I also helped produce a movie called Olive, which is the world's first movie shot entirely on a cell phone. We were on the ballot for an Academy Award. Unfortunately, we didn't win. We lost to Am I a Man or a Muppet in Rio. So I think we did all right. So that was really cool. And actually, just a few weeks ago, I joined Highland Capital Partners, which is a 25-year-old VC firm, originally in Boston. Now we have an office out here, $3 billion under management, and it's kind of been my dream to be a VC and help entrepreneurs in a way that I couldn't have done before, which is give them money. So I'm doing that now. So that's kind of the quick overview and bio. So we're going to talk about kind of the young generation, and I'm very much like Dan. I actually don't really play games. I really didn't have time to play games when I was like 14 and 15 because I was starting a company. So I look to a lot of my friends, and I think one of the awesome things about being in Silicon Valley is you get to see kind of these future trends before they kind of hit the rest of the country and the world. So I knew Draw Something was going to be huge when my friends from high school were using it. And that's, I think, one of the things that I've been really fortunate is, having friends who aren't in tech, my age. They kind of help me kind of stay grounded and kind of tell me what's cool in the real world because we're kind of all in this little bubble of tech startups and things like that. Okay, so mobile. Who said that? Is someone? There you go. All right, stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. And that's small, too. Good. So come talk to me after, and we'll get you a $25 gift card to Amazon. So I think, one of the big things that a lot of people still overlook is the fact that over 70% of teenagers between the ages of 13 and 19 have a mobile device. And I think now it's 40-something% have a internet-enabled device. And this is in the US alone. And a lot of people don't realize that mobile is still the biggest opportunity for young people. A lot of people assume that, oh, it's all about Facebook because everyone's on Facebook, and that's so awesome. And a lot of the times it is one of the big drivers. But the reason I like Angry Birds so much is because it took such a different approach to becoming viral. It didn't go on Facebook. It didn't go on any huge social network. They created their own social network, and they made it social in their own way, and they made it a community. And so we'll talk a little bit more about Angry Birds because I love Angry Birds so much. Is anyone from Rovio here, by the way? No? I really want a plush toy. Can we get that going somewhere? So I think a lot of people forget the fact that mobile is just such a huge opportunity, especially for mobile games, if you're trying to get young people using your games. I think when we think about, then again, there's Angry Birds. When we think about consoles, typically it's been, the Xboxes and the PS3s and the Nintendos. Does anyone at Nintendo here? Nintendo? No? One person? I'm sorry from what I'm about to say. I don't mean it. It's nothing personal. Nintendo's kind of a dead company right now. They were really cool when they released the Wii because it was this whole new experience to playing games. But then, all these new devices started coming out. The iPad came out, and when you used to have the Wii and that, the little controller thing, and you used to be able to do that, now you had not only that controller, but that screen to be able to do it right there and right in front of you. And it was portable. One of the big reasons why I think, and this is why my next slide is traditional consoles are dead, is because they're not portable. Teenagers are on the go. They're going from home to school to after-school activities. They're going all over the place. And for them to be able to play games and for you to be able to monetize on them or make that a huge success, it has to be mobile. And it has to be something that's efficient for them and something they want to use and continue using time and time again. This kind of is a true and not statement. I think a lot of, I don't know if I necessarily consider a computer a traditional console, but I think with Diablo 3, I think they set a whole number of records of PC sales and things like that. I don't know if I would loop in a computer into a traditional console, but I think Diablo 3 kind of showed the potential of the PC market and still having potential there. I know a lot of my friends, they still play Modern Warfare 3 and they play all these traditional console games, and the reason they still play them is because the only way they can play them is on that console. But one of the, again, let's talk about Angry Birds. One of the big reasons why I love Angry Birds is because it's on every single platform. It's on iOS, it's on Android, it's on Windows Mobile, it's on Facebook, it's even in a browser. Wherever you are around the world, doesn't even matter, you're able to play this game. For a lot of these games like Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, all these different games, you can't play them wherever you are, whenever you are. And a lot of the happiness that you get from playing games is that serendipity of, when I get, I also play Draw Something quite a bit. Thank you for that, Dan. I'm taking the train from my office down in Mountain View to San Francisco, and my best friend, just completed a turn, and now it's my turn. And in that moment, in that serendipitous moment, I'm able to react, and I'm able to have an achievement moment where I know that I'm playing this game with my best friend. I can't do that with a traditional console. He already won. God. That was good. I think the other thing that a lot of people overreact to, and I think it's awesome that we're literally right next door to Zynga's headquarters, is that games are inherently social. And 10 years ago, games weren't social. When we look at the Xbox, when did Xbox Live come out? I think, it came out in the early 2000s, maybe mid-2000s. That was kind of the first wave of social games on a console level. But right now, all these companies, Zynga, OMG Pop, Rovio, PopCap, Playdom, Playfish, Booyah, the reason they're so successful and why a lot of them are household names is because they're social. They let you share your experiences. what I said earlier is that games are a very emotional thing. You want to share those experiences with your friends, and you want to experience them with your friends. I mentioned I play Draw Something with my best friend. He's not in tech. I went to high school with him, and so when I play games with him, that he doesn't know that Zynga bought OMG Pop, or I'm sure he knows now, but he didn't like follow OMG Pop the way I did, being in the tech industry. But the fact that we were still able to enjoy a game and be able to have that experience from two different worlds, I think is why gaming is so awesome. And so here are kind of a few things to consider. And I think Nicole and Tim talked a lot about this, is that games should be customizable and interactive. If you go into, is that a dog? Oh, that sounded like a dog. Games should be customizable and interactive because why do you want to start playing a game if you can't change your character, if you can't upgrade, if you can't do these things that make you, feel like you, again, have that emotional experience with them? Temple Run, you can upgrade to different characters. That means you can change who you're playing as you're playing the game. I think that's really, really cool. Take advantage of existing resources. How many of you have a mobile game out there right now? A few hands. How many of you have integrated Game Center? I expect to see every single hand up. Game Center is an amazing resource. That's how I keep track of my scores with my friends. And now that Game Center is coming to the Mac, there's even more opportunities there. So I think you need to take advantage of existing resources like Game Center to really make your game more interactive and social. 3, gamers spend a lot of time on social networks. We already know that. And I think another thing is gaming is as much online as it is offline. We have those experiences where I played that turn on Draw Something with my friend, and then we talk about it. Then we talk about how bad my drawing was. So that's online and that offline connection. And then, the reason we're all here is to learn about game mechanics and gamification. Just use them. They most of the time they work, and they're good. So there's my contact info. I'm around all day. I think that was covered most of the kind of the trends and things like that. But one of the things I do want to mention is I was born and raised in Silicon Valley. Both my parents work in tech. I'm not your typical teenager. So a lot of the things that I see as typical like gaming habits and things like that, that's not something maybe a kid from Iowa will experience. So kind of take what I say with a grain of salt, but I think a lot of the same trends in terms of mobile and things like that are worldwide trends. So yeah, thank you guys.
All right. We're out of time, but I do have one question for you.
All right.
That as an atypical teen, maybe you can answer for us. So there's a lot of and some people have alluded to the whole teenagers are spoiled.
Yep.
Overly coddled.
Yeah.
Lots of achievements without substantive achievement.
Yep.
So do you, based on, obviously you see a lot of the kind of next generation of leaders in your organization. How do you feel about that in terms of what you're observing in this generation?
The one thing, I didn't talk too much about teens in tech because I didn't want that to be the focus, but with teens in tech, we essentially, take those people that are emailing Dan, those 19-year-olds with ideas, and actually helping them turn them into real things. So we run a conference and an incubator and a bunch of other programs for teen entrepreneurs. And I think this happens more in Silicon Valley than anywhere else, where people have this sense of entitlement, where because I live in Silicon Valley, because my dad's an executive at Google, like I should be able to have my game, the top on the Android market on the App Store. And I think
that's a very Valley problem.
It is, it's hashtag first world problems. I think a lot of teenagers are starting to realize that you actually have to work hard, and if you want something to be successful, you actually have to work at it, and you have to, continue doing it and continue learning. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things is a lot of people, they do it once and they think they've mastered it, and you haven't.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you
so much. Thanks, buddy.